Hi, I'm Rosie,
And I'm Summer.
and today we are going to be doing a comparison between VoiceOver on Apple devices and VoiceView on Amazon devices, or Android, but it's the Amazon version of it. So, yeah, I think we're going to get started pretty quickly today.
Yeah, pretty quick introduction. Don't mind my fault. But anyway, so first on our list of things to talk about is the gestures between the two screen readers and different types of gestures. So, now what could be our first gesture?
Screen dimmed.
Walk. What could be our first gesture?
Unlocking the device.
Unlocking the device. Okay, you go Android and then I'll pop in with.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically all you do on a Kindle, which is what I'm using for this because it's the only device I know that has VoiceView, is... Sorry, Summer's got my iPad, she doesn't want to look because we're using my devices today. All you do is you swipe up with two fingers, so I'm just going to show you. So the device is locked just now, so I'm just going to press the power button.
1544.
Thank you. Sometimes it'll say your name and then double tap to switch profile, but it's not doing that today, so that's good.
Device unlocked. Home. 2 of 9.
And there we go.
Double tap to activate.
Thank you.
Just let VoiceView do its chat.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So, VoiceOver, I would show you from a VoiceOver perspective, but if it was iPad, and I'm not about to show you. I'm not about to show you her password because I don't really know her password, and I'm not about to put it in on a live video. So, what you do from VoiceOver's perspective on these iPads that we have, what model of iPad have you got there?
The iPad Pro.
Is that Pro?
I think it's
Something?
the 4th generation.
Yeah, it's a
I
Pro.
believe it's a 12.9 inch one.
So big screen and no home button. So we have to press the power button, and then we have to swipe up with one finger, and then either adjust your face for Face ID or put your password in.
Or instead of pressing the power button, you can just tap the screen. It comes on.
Yeah, or
yeah,
any other way relevant.
Yep.
Anyway,
right. So next gesture would probably be, I imagine, probably like to navigate through a device.
yeah, that's probably not a bad idea.
So there is different gestures for this in VoiceView, and you can find that in the VoiceView tutorial. But I find that sometimes the same gestures that work for VoiceOver do tend to work for VoiceView, like just the swipe. So like if I just I'm going to focus on home screen as opposed to the bit at the top that it's decided to put safe on.
Home. Silk browser. Row 1, column 1.
Okay, and then if I just swipe one finger
Double
to the
tap
right.
to activate.
Oh, sorry VoiceView, I didn't realise you were not quite finished there. Right, as you'll notice, VoiceView loves to tell you every little detail what to do. That's called a hint, and we'll talk about them in a bit of detail later on. Okay, so I'm going to swipe one finger to the right.
App Store. Row 1, column 2. Prime Video. Row 1, column 3. Books. Row 1, column 4.
No, I think there is an actual official
Double
gesture.
tap to activate.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Sorry,
I
both
didn't.
devices are getting noisy.
I didn't know that you'd wanted. It will tell you double tap to activate every time, and it does that. But there is an official gesture, I think, but that's in the VoiceView tutorial. But when I've used this for quite a few years now, and I do find that this gesture, even though it's not an official VoiceView gesture, does actually work better than the official VoiceView one. But you can go and find that in the tutorial if you want to, which we can tell you how to get to later on if you feel like it, or comment and say if you want to know. Okay, Summer.
So, pretty much the same sort of right, swipe left to go back. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on something. We're going to focus on
App library.
let me.
File
Okay, there we
converter.
go. So, I'm at the app library and I'm going to go back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get one finger and I'm just going to sort of put it on the screen, and I'm just going to move it to the left, and I'm going to move it to the left again. And if I want to go to the right and go back to file converter, I'm going to just swipe to the right. I'm going to put my finger on the screen and then move it to the right hand side. Do it again. Back to the app library again. So it's pretty similar.
Same if you want to go back with VoiceView, you just do it to the left. I think that is the actual gesture. I don't think it used to be, but it is now. But yeah, it works anyway. Okay, trying to think of another gesture.
Speech on, speech off.
Speech on, speech off. Yeah, they're the same. Okay, so speech on is... These gestures can be located in the VoiceView tutorial, but I'm just going to show you. Okay, so speech off is double tap with 3 fingers on the screen. So like this.
Speech off.
Oops, can you work?
Speech on.
I think it was trying to tell you how to do it again.
Mm.
Once you wanted to do it again. 'Cause
And that's...
Android likes to do that.
Screen dimmed. File
Shut up,
converter.
right. And that's similar way with VoiceOver. All we do is just double tap with 3 fingers on the screen.
Speech off.
And then we double tap with 3 fingers again.
Speech on.
Screen cut and speech on.
Yep.
There we go.
Okay, now screen curtain's the same thing. This time I'll actually let it talk, but sometimes I like to shut it up because it tells you too much. Sometimes it'll tell you how to put it back off again, even though you've literally just put it on, but sometimes it does that. I don't know why. It's sometimes helpful, sometimes it's not. Okay, screen curtain is triple tap with 3 fingers. That can be quite difficult to say. Okay.
Screen curtain enabled. Triple tap with 3 fingers to disable screen curtain. Screen curtain disabled.
I'm not going to tell you now.
No.
So, and that's pretty much the same for VoiceOver. All we do is we just do triple tap.
Screen dimmed. Act
If it'll
like
stop locking. We triple tap with 3 fingers.
screen curtain on.
And we do it again.
Screen curtain off.
And that basically means the screen goes black so nobody else can see your, no one else can spy on you when you're trying to do something.
Yep.
Anything else gesture wise?
Scrolling.
Scrolling?
Scrolling. Okay, now on Android this used to be 2 fingers up. Now they changed it to 3. So you swipe with 3 fingers up from, I think it's from anywhere on the screen. It makes that sound to show that it's scrolling. It doesn't actually tell you what you're doing, like what page you're on. It just makes a little sound. And then if you want to scroll back down, so if you scroll up, it's 3 fingers scroll on the screen scrolling up the way. If you want to scroll back down, it's 3 fingers scrolling down the way.
Act library.
Okay, VoiceOver.
So, we're going to move between pages again. So for VoiceOver this is a little bit different. So to go, well we have to,
Well, I was scrolling up and down there.
just going up and down.
Yeah.
You can't do that one.
You can.
You can, well,
Edit
you need to be
showing
somewhere.
today view.
kind of.
Spotlight.
Yeah.
12 items found. Top 82.
Yeah, so
40.
usually with VoiceOver it's a bit different because what you've got to do is
Screen time. Edit
you've
row.
got to focus on something. So, I don't know where I'm at, but
15.
doesn't really matter. If I can find the little bar to get back out.
Social media folder.
Thank you. Right, this probably won't work. It'll probably make a bonging noise. But anyway, what you've got to do with VoiceOver, because I'm not in a particular app, is you've got to touch the screen. You've got to touch something and then put your focus on something
Social media folder.
like that.
8 apps.
And then you would just
One new
swipe
item.
up with 3 fingers, but it's not going to do anything. It would make a sound usually.
Yeah,
It'll go make a wee
but
little
we're not
sound.
in settings or anything, so where's your voice, so you don't need to be focused. And what that also does is for VoiceOver, obviously, that's for like that scrolling up thing for VoiceOver is different, so that like scrolls through to different like parts of the screen. Like scrolling for pages of VoiceOver is different, whereas this one is it scrolls everything. So VoiceView is the one gesture, so you can scroll through a list like this, or you can scroll through like a different page like this. But Summer can show you the other gesture for scrolling for pages with VoiceOver because
Yeah.
it's not a different gesture.
So for pages with VoiceOver, what we do is we swipe. So to go like forward to a page, we swipe left with 3 fingers.
Showing app library. App library.
It's because we're in the app library, it's going to do that. So if we want to go back to the previous page, we put 3 fingers on the screen and we swipe right.
Home. Page 1 of 1. Social media.
There we go. Well, that's ideal.
Yep. Okay,
Perfect.
I think that's the only gestures I can think of. If anyone else has any other ideas or gestures they want us to
Let's
cover,
know.
please tell us. Well, we'll be showing you some more gestures, but they'll be in with other topics that we're about to cover because there's more topics. This is just the first one. So anything that we cover today and you're like, I want to hear more about that, or I want this thing that you didn't cover, just comment and we can do a part 2 if you want.
Yeah. Okay, so next thing on our list is speech measurements, i.e. how to like speaking, how to change the speaking rate, how to move it up and down, different things like that.
Screen dimmed.
So,
Social group.
excuse me, iPad. Thank you. Right. So, do you want to take it from a Kindle point of view? Because it'll take longer, I think.
Yep, okay. So this is kind of more complicated because we're going to use some of what we've just learned to move to the next part because it's not so easy with good old VoiceView. Right, so what you've got to do is you've got to go into settings, then you've got to go into accessibility, then you've got to go into VoiceView screen reader settings, and then you've got to scroll down and find the speed, and then double tap it and it puts you in what's called a drop down menu. And then you've basically got a list of different speeds that you can make it, and it will tell you like normal, fast, fastest. It doesn't work quite the same as VoiceOver does. You can roughly guess, like, for example, the second one from like the second fastest is probably about 90% speaking rate VoiceOver wise, but it doesn't measure it like that on this. So I'm going to tell you first, and then I'm going to actually do it. Okay, so let's do it. So we're going to swipe up with 3 fingers for scrolling to get to the next page. Right, we don't need to, it's already on that page.
Settings. Row 5. Settings.
Alright, for quickness.
Wireless input.
I'm scrolling up to get to the next thing of settings because it's not on that page.
Accessibility.
Now you can swipe to get to that, but I know where it
Double
is,
tap to activate.
so I'm going to do it quickly.
General. Heading. 1 of
Okay.
17. Voice view screen reader. Met. Voice view screen reader. Voice view. Typing style. Speech. Heading. 3 of 6. Braille. Heading. Speech. Head. Speech.
Now
Reading
that's
speed.
quite how do I say?
A lot.
Yes, that's quite, what do I call it? Misleading, because that says the heading. With VoiceOver, you can't double tap a heading.
No, you can't. If VoiceOver says heading, you can't double tap on it because it doesn't.
That's why I was confused for a second, because I'm like, where is it? Because I remember double tapping on speech earlier on, but when it said it was a heading, I was like, but you can't click a heading, but you can with VoiceView, but you can't with VoiceOver. Okay, so I'm just going to show you like the little menu, but I'm not going to actually change anything.
Speech. Reading speed. 1x. Normal. Heading. 1 of 9. Verbosity. Heading. Reading
No,
speed.
that goes into all
1x,
different things, but
Normal. Reading speed. 0.66x. Slowest. Checkbox. Heading. Not ticked. 1 of 10. 0.8x. 1x. 1.25. 1.5x.
Screen.
1.75. 2x. 2.5x. 3x. Checkbox. Heading. Not ticked. 9 of 10. 4x. Fastest. Checkbox. Heading. Not ticked. Cancel. Button. Speech.
Cool.
Reading speed.
if you wanted to do it, you double
1x,
tap it.
Normal.
Okay, so these are all speech settings, and it talks to you like, we didn't do them all, did we?
No.
No, I'm just going to show you the speaking rate part because it's different, but
Mm.
we can go through the actual proper settings in like a future video. Okay,
So, I think the easiest way to do that's probably just water.
Water.
That's probably the easiest way. So, if you've already got an iPhone or an iPad or iOS device in general, you'll know the rotor is your best friend. Now, VoiceView, as you can see there, was quite difficult and quite a bit of a nightmare to navigate and find what the speaking rate was. It's the same with VoiceOver, but you can do it quickly. I'm going to show you. So, what we do is we have to activate the rotor, which, in order to do that, you put 2 fingers on the screen, and then you would turn them like a dial when it doesn't start speaking that way. So I'm going to put my fingers on the screen, and I'm going to turn them like a little dial.
Characters. Words. Speaking rate.
Almost think of it as like a
45%.
almost think of it as like a key, right? So key in a lock. So we've got speaking rate and it says 45%. If I wanted to increase that, I would just swipe up
50%.
with 1 finger, and if I wanted to, decrease it, I would swipe down
45%.
with 1 finger. But if I've set it 8, I'll put it back up to 50. There we
50%.
go.
Words.
And then make sure we change our rotor so that we don't accidentally activate speaking rate and have your VoiceOver talking at 1%. But anyway, right.
I mean there is a longer way to do that as well with VoiceOver. You can go into settings,
Yeah,
but
settings accessibility.
settings accessibility, VoiceOver, speech, and then you can do it and you can put the slider down, and you would just go and focus on the slider and then do 1 finger down
Or
with one foot, yeah, just like that basically, but a longer way of doing it. Whereas your VoiceView, there's only one way. All right, I think we'll cover other speech settings probably in a future video.
Okay, next.
Screen
I'll let you.
Social media.
Let you have a wee this time.
Right, let's see. We've got some notes just to, help ourselves.
Give yourself a wee.
Okay, so now next what we're going to talk about is the sort of almost different names, but notification center / control center / notification shade on Android. All right, so do you want to?
Okay, so depends what kind of phone you have with VoiceOver. It depends. Well, you can do it both ways. But,
Yeah.
If you have a home button on an iPad, you've got to put your focus on the status bar and then swipe up, doesn't it?
Up with
control
3
center.
fingers.
Control
Yeah.
center, sample here, and then notification center. You put your focus on the status bar
I see BTT6CT.
and then swipe down with your fingers.
Yep.
There we go. And then, but the reason I thought on that is because I'm so used to doing it the other way. So, if you don't have a home button, like this iPad doesn't, you have to put your focus on status bar again, and then
BTT6CT5.
you have to swipe down with one finger.
Audio/set
It's been difficult with me. And
BTT6CT5C. 3 control center. Airplane mode.
thank you. Right. So what we did there was you've almost got to focus on the status bar, and then you've got to swipe down with one finger until we hear. Okay, let's
Social
switch
speech
off for like 2 seconds while I do this. Right. So then you do this, and you've got to swipe down until you hear that first one. That first one's the control centre. That first little beep. And then the second one, what we're going to do, put focus back on the status bar again, and then we're going to swipe down again with one finger. So it's like a higher beep, that beep that you just heard. And obviously, if my switch is on VoiceOver, was a notification centre, but that's the higher beep is the notification centre right there. Put the switch back on again.
speech on.
Okie doke. We've got our dear friend Android, I think.
Also, if you don't have a home button, you can also use the old gestures as well, like me. I use the old gestures for the notifications and control center because I don't like using the new ones, quite frankly.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, when it comes to like app switcher and things like that, which is not something we've actually got written down, but
Yep.
you can cover that. You've got to use the new one regardless. But anyway, right, Android time. Right,
Device locked.
thank you. That was really nice timing of your VoiceView. We like that. Okay, good. You can say a lot for a second. Well, I think, and talk. Okay, so as you can tell, good old VoiceView is very impatient and can't wait on people finishing their sentences before it shuts up. It likes to tell you. You can actually adjust that, but how long it'll take to lock as a device thing. It's not a VoiceView thing. Okay, so basically, there's only, I think again there is another official gesture to do both of these, like separately, but I just do it as the one. And basically, what you do is you swipe down with 3 fingers from the top of the screen. You don't focus on a status bar or anything like that. There is one on the Kindle, but it's not called that, and it's not as easy to access.
Screen dimmed. Social
Shush.
So you do that, and basically that brings up what's called the notification shade, and that has like some controls on it and some settings and things like that. And underneath it, if you do have notifications, it will also have them there. I've managed to get rid of my notifications because they would go away. Sometimes they stay there and they stay on the status bar but at the top of the screen, and I don't know how to get rid of them, so I had to restart my device. But they're away now, so I'm going to show you. Right.
Nope.
Can we work, please?
1602.
Oops.
Device locked.
Let me do that. Right.
1602.
Okay.
Device unlocked. Speech.
Wait, hold on until I go out my setting.
Home. Home. Settings. Row 5. Column 1.
Okay, so this doesn't always work because it likes to
Double
bully
tap
me.
to activate.
But you swipe down from the top of the screen with 3 fingers.
Search. 1602. Thursday, 11th of August. Rosie's Fire. Quick set.
Called quick settings. over
Rosie
there.
Murray. Double tap settings. But. Display brightness. Wi-Fi signal full. Bluetooth off.
screen dimmed.
Airplane mode
Indicate-
off. Blue shade on. Do not disturb disabled. Help. Alexa hands-free enabled. Screen is locked in portrait orientation.
Okay, and you can keep swiping and keep
Double
swiping.
tap to activate.
And there's other controls and there's things like that. And to get out of it, you just swipe up with 3 fingers, kind of more at the bottom of the screen.
Search.
There we go.
There we go.
Double tap to activate.
Okay.
Cool. Ideal. Notification centre, see how they're completely different. Right, what are we talking about now? Oh, granularity. Oh, granularity.
Oh ho ho ho.
Not really something you get in iOS.
No.
Not particularly. Anyway,
Oh, me again.
let you explain.
Okay, so granularity is basically a way of cycling through different sorts of increments. So like character, word, things like that. And unfortunately for us, we don't have a rotor. There is a couple gestures to do this in the VoiceView tutorial, but there's a jog wheel and then there's the one that I'm going to do. I don't like the jog wheel because I think it's complicated. It's more kind of closer to iOS, but I don't really get it. It's too awkward and I think you skip over a lot of things when you use that gesture. So we're going to do the one that I think is easier. And what you do is you swipe up and down with one finger in a single motion, or swipe down and up. It depends what way you want to go. I usually stick to the one, but you can go whatever way you want, and it depends where you are. If you've got like, so you want to get closer to like characters and say it's far away, you could probably go up instead of down or down instead of up. Whatever one is closer to what you want to get to. So I'm just going to do down, up and then down, with one finger in a single motion.
Window. Search. Element.
Sometimes it loses focus and tries to tap things.
Sentence. Word. Character.
And then you can go back the way, like down and up, so like this. Oops.
5.
Why are
S.
we doing that?
C. Word.
Bullying us.
Search. Search. Sentence. Element. Search. Window.
It's not very easy to do sometimes, it loses
No.
focus. And as you heard, it was going, yes, in a really high pitched voice. That's because it was trying to read out a character. So in order to access that character or word, you swipe down with one finger, just like in a single motion, and that will read the character or word that you're going to do. And if you want to go back a character or word, you swipe up with one finger. Okay.
Okay, so
Audio/set.
it's a bit different with VoiceOver because we kind of spoke about the rotor earlier on, but what you do is you basically you sort of put your two fingers, any two fingers, I recommend probably your pointer and your sort of middle finger, probably the easiest, or your pointer and not your ring finger.
No.
Not your ring finger. So your index finger and your middle finger, and then what you do is you put them on the screen, I find, and then what you do is you turn it like you're turning a key to the left or the right.
File converter.
Shush. Right. Or sometimes what I do when I'm holding a big device, I rotate it as well. But
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
can
gonna do
rotate the device
that. But
rather than rotate your hand.
But what I'm doing, I'm going to rotate my hand. I'm just going to put my two fingers on the screen and then move them like a dial.
Characters. Words. Speaking rate. A blind legend. Portrait. Headings. Actions. Characters.
So say if I wanted, how do you spell that word? I would swipe down with one finger.
Cap F-I-L-E space. F-N-E-O-T-E-O.
And if I missed out a character, I'll go back. I will just swipe up with one finger.
O-E-T-R-E-V-N-O. Cap C.
See? Here we go. Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's quite good. I prefer. I kind of, I'm not really an Android person, but I've tried it the other way. They both work just as well, I would say.
Yeah, the rotor's more flexible because you can take things out and put things in it. I don't think you can do that with granularity that I'm aware of.
No, I don't think so. Can you?
It's also says things that VoiceOver doesn't say, like window. I don't know what a window actually is because this is a Kindle, not a Windows device. Haha, so funny. But I don't understand that. But it's, VoiceView is still quite. It's not new, but it used to be different, and now they've updated it now so that it has more gestures. But in the same way, it's not as responsive.
Not as good.
No.
Right. What is next on our list of things?
The status bar is next.
Oh, status bar. Right. Okay, let's take it from an iOS point of view first. So, the status bar is a little annoying thing that lives at the top of your screen. Right? It is a little annoying thing because it gives you all bits of information. So, sometimes you can access this and sometimes you just can't. So sometimes,
Screen dimmed.
shut up, right. Sometimes the best way to do it is think you're near the top of the screen and then swipe, like, do a little slide up the way.
Social media. Thursday the 11th of August. State at 1608. 1608.
So I'm going to start from the very left of the status bar, and then I'm going to swipe right just to show you kind of how it works compared to how Android is going to work. So I'm going to swipe to the right because it just said the very top left is the time,
1608.
and then we swipe right,
Thursday the 11th of August.
and then we swipe right,
BTT6 CT5.
and then we swipe right,
Orientation locked. Impersonal.
and then we swipe right,
81%, but 81%.
and that's it. And then we can just put our hand anywhere to move away. So it's quite good. It, gives you all the gives you all the bits and things that you need to know. But it's quite difficult to get to because it's sort of right at the top of the screen, buried out of the way of everything else. That's fine. But I quite like it. Quite a good thing. Anything else you wanna?
Well, the thing is with the status bar, sometimes it won't say status bar. It tends to, but sometimes if you're focused on it and you keep swiping to the right or the left, it won't because you're already on it. But like old iOS's would always say blah 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 status bar item, and that's why it's called the status bar, is because that's where they
You
are.
said VoiceOver didn't say nothing.
It did once,
Did
yeah.
it?
Thursday the 11th of August. Status bar item.
Oh, yeah, no,
Okay, the Kindle unfortunately doesn't call it that, but because I use VoiceOver, I call it that anyway. Alright, so basically what the Kindle does is you just sort of put your hand at the top of the screen, so if there's like a search bar, and if you can't get it to focus on the status bar immediately, just swipe to the left with one finger of the search bar, and basically what it does is it reads everything in the one go. So
just a big blah blah blah.
yes, so let's do that then. Let's try and get it to read it.
Device locked.
Ah, nice. Thank you. Nice to know that the Kindle's waiting for us.
Yep.
1610. Device unlocked. Bug. Blue shade on. Wi-Fi signal full. Battery 87%. 1610.
All right, and you don't have a choice.
See, I just read that as one big blah 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 blah. But that's one big deal.
I used to say like the name of the device as well, like my device, so it would say Rosie's Fire, but it doesn't seem to do that anymore.
No.
But it used to.
Mine used to do that when I had one back in the day.
Yeah. Okay.
1611.
Oh, sorry.
Thank
You have
you.
to
Row 3. Column 3.
lose focus of it, because otherwise, like
Double tap
VoiceOver,
to
excuse me,
activate.
like VoiceOver, if for example you're on time and the time changes, it will just blurt it out.
Yeah.
Screen dimmed.
Oi.
Education code. 13.
These devices today.
Oh yeah, default keyboard. I couldn't read that there. Right. So, next up we have the default keyboard, or the keyboard that we get compared to iOS versus Android. Now, I'm not sure how I'm going to actually show the keyboard on this thing, but we can talk about it.
Probably just talk about it.
We can talk about it. So,
Edu-
on an iOS device, because we're not actually showing it, on an iOS device, you have, when you get an iOS device, you have the standard typing mode, which is basically you have to drag your finger around the screen until you find the letter that you want to type, and then you double tap it, and then it inputs it. That's basically the way of it. But there is different styles of typing on iOS. There is different styles. Is it different style of typing?
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah, but
Yeah, there is.
not
They're
quite
the
the
same
same.
ones. It's
Yeah.
just different default ones.
different default ones. But default is standard. Default on a Kindle isn't. But anyway, we'll talk about that.
The default one on a Kindle is called touch typing. So basically what you do is you drag your finger around the screen and then you find the letter you want to type and you lift your finger and it types it. However, because I've got a little bit of vision, I can sometimes see the letters because they're a nice contrast, whereas iOS it's harder to see them. So I can just tap on it and it will type as well. And you can change it to standard typing or direct touch typing on the Kindle. Whereas iOS, you can change it to touch typing or direct touch typing. Or you can keep it standard.
Standard.
They're the same type, different modes. They're just different defaults, basically. So.
But iOS, you can be quite proficient on one. You can be quite quick. On same as Kindle as well.
Yeah.
But we're touch typing people.
Yes, yes, none of the standard typing nonsense that everybody likes to use.
No. What else have we got? Okay, so the response times between VoiceOver and VoiceView. Okay, so I'm going to take this from
Edu-
an iOS point of view first. So, what I mean by response times is how quickly,
Five.
if I swipe, how quickly VoiceOver is going to react to me. So it can react pretty quickly when it wants to. Let's see.
Social media, health and education, photography, audio, games for random, import,
See?
voice record.
It's responding pretty quickly. Whereas, as Rosie's going to talk about from a Kindle perspective, if you have a little bit of vision with VoiceOver, sometimes it's a little bit. Do you not find sometimes it's a wee bit kind of doesn't like to respond as much?
VoiceView, you mean?
VoiceView doesn't like to
Yes.
respond as much.
Yes.
Or from from a VoiceOver from my perspective, who I haven't used VoiceView for a little bit of time, swiping like how you swipe with VoiceOver isn't as quick and doesn't get you where you want to be.
Yeah, sometimes you've got to sort of tap around rather than swipe with VoiceView. Whereas VoiceOver, you can do that too, and it's called Explore by Touch. But it's easier to not do that with VoiceOver. But sometimes with VoiceView you have to. But I'm just going to quickly show you the response, just for easy sake. So I'm going to focus on an app at the top of the screen, for example, this one.
Silk browser, row 1, column 1.
Okay, and I'm going to swipe quickly, just to show
Double
you.
tap to activate. App Store, Prime, Books, Audible, News, Amazon, Games, Goodreads.
Now, it's not doing it slow or anything like that. And by the way, I did shut it up, which is the same as VoiceOver. 2 fingers on the screen. Just place them on it and it shuts it up in the middle of a sentence. And then if you want to do it, like resume it, you can just do 2 fingers again. Just if you want to like
Screen
read
name.
something, you can swipe down from the top of the screen with 2 fingers and start reading it. I think it's another gesture for like something else where you swipe up for, like swipe up with 2 fingers, but I can't remember what that does. But it's kind of the same with VoiceOver. So it's just other wee gestures to add in there. But it's not that it's not fast. It just likes to talk. VoiceView loves to talk, but there's not a lot of action. Like, when you need it to, and you try to find something, focus on something, sometimes you can't focus on it, especially if I'm on, like, the web, and I'm not going to go on the web right now, but it used to be quite accessible, and you could access, like, YouTube videos and
Voice
things.
record.
Yeah.
It's quite difficult to do that now, and, like, if you want to see that in a future video, I can do that. I can do some web stuff or whatever, but we don't want it to cover too much today. If you get anything, you want to add anything, or any gestures or anything like that?
No, I'd say for VoiceOver you can you can tap around if you want to, but VoiceOver's more of a kind of, if you have a little bit of vision, VoiceView is good because you can maybe you can see the screen, so maybe you can sort of like get to where you want a little bit quicker. Whereas VoiceOver is a little bit better for those who have limited vision. You can still probably use VoiceView. No vision, you can use VoiceView too, but VoiceOver's probably better because you get more chance of it not getting stuck when you're trying to swipe somewhere, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more responsive in a sense. Okay, so anything else? Sounds.
Screen.
Sounds. Okay,
Voice.
so on iOS, obviously my sounds are off right now.
Or some of them are.
Some of them are. Some of the annoying ones are when you sleep. So, sounds, you can go into settings and go into accessibility and customise them. You can customise what ones you want on and what ones you want off. However, Kindle's not that easy.
I mean, or you can just turn them off.
Or you just turn them right off.
But with the Kindle, you can either put them down a little bit with the volume, or I don't think you can put them off completely though. Or you've just got to deal with them. You can also like have your speech at different volume from, like, you can have it quieter. You can kind of do that with VoiceOver, but it's like rotor volume and that works differently. So like your sounds in the Kindle are kind of there for life, and it's really annoying. I don't like them very much. I don't like them very nice.
No,
But yeah,
not
they're not as customisable, unfortunately.
No, even though they should be.
Yes.
Or not. What else have we got here? Hints. So, hints on an iOS device. Okay, you don't have hints in your rotor, do you?
Screen dim.
Hints.
Have word, speak, break, apply, heading, action, character,
No, I
words,
don't.
characters.
Hints. Well, I was going to put them on, but anyway. So hints on an iPad or an iPhone. If I was, it's not going to do this. We don't have them on right now. But if I was going to swipe left to find an app or right to find an app,
Important app. Random apps for games folder.
I think that.
Voice loco.
So say we're finding the loco, right? So we found the loco, and it would usually say the loco. Double tap to open, and it would talk about, swipe up or down to select a custom action, then double tap to activate. It tells you a whole bunch of stuff. However, if you're slightly more advanced and you don't want that stuff on, you can go into settings, or if you have hints on your rotor, you can turn them off so that when you hear the loco or the loco, VoiceOver would say it's the loco. When you hear the loco, all you hear is the loco, and none of this other telling you what to do stuff. However, on a Kindle,
on the Kindle, good old VoiceView likes to tell you everything, and there's absolutely nothing that you can do about it, basically. You tap on an app, and I'm going to show you in a minute, it tells you what to do, or sometimes what it does as well, it'll go like, double tap to edit, double tap to activate, and you're like, yes, I know that, because obviously I'm double tapping to edit. In fact, I wonder if it can do it. Let's see if the search bar can do it. Let's see.
Home. 2 of 9 for you. Search. Double tap to activate.
No, it's not doing it today. But sometimes what it does is it will say double tap to edit, double tap to activate, and you're like, yeah, I know that. Okay, but let's try a few apps and show you. Obviously, we couldn't do it with VoiceOver, but for an example of what it would sound like, it's not the same, but it's similar. But it says a lot more on this.
Home. Silk browser. Row 1, column 1. Double tap to activate. App Store. Row 1, column 2. Double tap to activate.
Also, it's quite a big delay. There's not that with VoiceOver. And it also, another thing it does is tells you where it is. Like row 1, column 1, row 1, column 2. VoiceOver doesn't
do that, unfortunately.
So some things are actually helpful, and sometimes I wish they would combine them and it would be like a cool screen reader, because there's some things that are quite helpful. But yeah, you can't turn them off, so you've got them for life, basically. Yay. At least I think, actually, there is verbosity somewhere. I think you could probably adjust them, but it's not something I've really looked into, to be honest with you. Maybe you can, actually. Something I need to look at.
Yeah. But for now, you can turn... There's not such a big delay between VoiceOver telling you. Wonder if I can quickly do it on my phone, because I have my phone here. Let's see. Thank you. Do it on my phone. Let's see if I can do it on my phone. If Face ID would be so nice. I wasn't going to do it on my phone, but I'll do it on my phone, because for demonstration purposes only. Right. So this down with it.
Photography for productivity reminders. Double tap to open. Settings. Double tap to open. Social folder. With folder.
See? Tells you.
I don't think it does it with folders, does it?
Yeah, it did it with folder there.
Does it?
Yeah. Anyway, right.
Also, I don't know if you can get folders on Android. I know you can change your apps about, and I think it's the same way as VoiceOver, but that's not something I've really looked into.
No.
Yeah.
Anything else? Let's have a look. Can we go upside down? Oh, voice feedback, right? Do we not just cover that kind of voice feedback? Basically telling you more than it needs to, and things like that.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we just did that one.
Yeah, so like voice feedback would just be how much it says, like verbosity, which you can adjust, and that's in your settings. For VoiceView, that is in settings, accessibility, VoiceView screen reader, speech, and then verbosity.
Whereas for VoiceOver, it's settings, accessibility, and then just speech. Then, yeah,
Verbosity.
then verbosity. Yeah.
Yep, and basically that tells you how much VoiceOver or VoiceView will say. So like punctuation, hints, for example. I don't know, I need to look into that for VoiceView, but there's sometimes different things that it can tell you. Sometimes in terms of you can go into your keyboard settings as well and decide what you want it to tell you when you write a letter, whether you want it to tell you echo it or whether you don't. So it's different sort of things like that. It's a whole different range of things that voice
Yep.
feedback can cover. If you want anything that we've not covered, just or anything different, you know, or anything specific,
Put it in the comments.
just write it in the comments and we'll be right there to make
We'll
it.
be right there, and I think that's the end of our list.
I think that, yep, I believe that's us.
That's the
We've
end of
covered
our list.
everything we need to cover. It's just,
So,
Yep.
as we say, don't forget to like and subscribe and do all of that stuff. Put your notifications on, you know, blah blah.
Screen dimmed.
And I'll let the iPad lock now because it can. Yeah, don't forget to do all that, and we'll be back with a future video.
yeah. Comment on anything specific or anything you want us to cover, any future video suggestions, anything like that. And we will be back soon. Bye.
Bye for now.